So this is the last thing for the Scarlet Letter, and just like I did with the Great Gatsby, and I'll be doing this with all of our units, all of our larger texts, I want to talk a little bit about what to take away. There are 6 key things that I think Hawthorne was trying to get across, and we're going to talk about each of them. I'm not going to talk for long, don't worry. It's not going to be a 30-minute video, I don't think. All right, so the first one is basically he's talking about sin and knowledge in the human condition. And this is important because sin and knowledge are linked in many religions, especially, the Judeo-Christian religion, which is, the Puritans. That's all that they were about that. The Bible even begins with the story of Adam and Eve, who were expelled from a lush garden for doing something they weren't supposed to do. As a result of their knowledge, they were cast out. In the experiences of Hester and Dimmesdale, it harkens back to that story because in both cases, sin resulted in expulsion and suffering. It also results in knowledge, specifically in the knowledge that what it means to be human. For Hester, the Scarlet Letter functions as a, kind of a passport into regions where other women, wouldn't go. The quote is, her passport into regions where other women dare not tread. As for Dimmesdale, the burden of his sin gives him sympathies. The quote is sympathy so intimate with the sinful brotherhood of mankind, his heart vibrates in unison with theirs. His powerful sermons, it derives this sense of empathy. All right, then the next one is the nature of evil. Characters there's this character called the Man in Black. He's like the embodiment of evil, and they reference him throughout the course of the novel. And throughout the course of the novel, he's associated with Dimmesdale, Chillingsworth, and then Mistress Hibbins, and even Little Pearl is thought to be this devil's child. The characters also try to root out the causes of this evil. The confusion over the nature and the causes of evil. It revealed the problems with the Puritan concept of evil. And the book argues that true evil arises from the close relationship between hate and love. And if you notice that the person who suffered the most was Chillingworth in the end, because his crime, his love was perverted, and he was cruel and ignorant, and he ended up suffering, and he lost what he wanted. The next one is identity and society, and I talked about this a lot in one of the sections about being put in a determined identity and how they struggle with it. I talked about that word sonder, that everybody has hopes and dreams, and just like you, and it's kind of a almost impossible to imagine to us. To Hester, running away or removing the letter would be an acknowledgement of society's power over her. She would be admitting that the letter is a mark of shame and something from which she desires to escape. Dimmesdale struggles with his socially determined identity because he says, as the community's minister, he's a symbol. He's more of a symbol than a human being. Female independence is the next one. The thought of feminism, to me, one of the earliest examples was the character of Ophelia in Shakespeare. And who knows, we may even do Hamlet this over the course of this summer. I haven't determined. They cast her out, Hester, and because Hester's cast out of her community, she's liberated from many of the traditional expectations of a woman, to be docile, subservient, submissive, and she has responsibilities that other women don't have. This forces her to be independent, to feed, take care of her child. She has to earn a living. She doesn't have a man doing it for her, so she and her daughter can survive. These are unusual circumstances, and they make Hester comfortable standing up for herself, to which she does to Dimmesdale and to Bellingham when they try to take Pearl away from her. All right, the next one is guilt. That's a big one. It's a major theme, possibly, probably. And it's, for the most part, it's in the psychology of Dimsdale. Dimsdale is tormented both by his guilt at his sinful act of fathering an illegitimate child, and then guilt by failing to take responsibility for actions and having to hide his secret, his love for Hester and his daughter. Minister's guilt is also, exaggerated by a sense of hypocrisy, because he is considered by many to be an exceptionally holy, righteous, dignified man of God. If anything, his sense of guilt is what makes him so vulnerable to being manipulated by Chillingworth. Next one is nature versus society, and the theme of nature versus society, it comes through in both Hester and Dimsdale's forbidden passage, and the product of that, which is Pearl. They're both drawn to each other by desires that can't be controlled by the rules of anything social, legal, religious institutions. Follow their impulses, which led to Pearl. While Hester's pregnancy is condemned by society, it's the natural outcome of basic human impulse. For biology, for science, according to science, the only reason we're here is to make babies, continue the species. So that's nature versus society. Basic human impulses versus what their society deemed to be inappropriate. Empathy is a good one. It's the last one. Yeah, empathy is the last one. Empathy is being able to understand what somebody's experiencing and having sympathy. Because throughout the novel, the characters either achieve or fail to achieve, empathy for their fellow humans. Both Dimsdale and Hester achieve greater compassion because they have suffered and can sympathize with how a good person still makes mistakes. This ability to show empathy makes both of them, Hester and Dimsdale, sought after within the community. Dimsdale gains a great reputation as a minister. By the end of the novel, Hester has become a wise woman, and the A doesn't stand for adulterer anymore. It stands for able. On the other hand, Bellingham and Chillingworth, they show nothing. They show no empathy. So, those are the things I want you to take away from the Scarlet Letter. Very excellent novel, one of my favorites. And hopefully you read it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you haven't got a chance to read it now that you know how it ends, still go ahead and pick it up. It's enjoyable, and I look forward to teaching it every year. Check back next week. We're going to start a new unit. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do yet. I'm going back and forth between two different topics, two different works, but I will let you know. Check in with me next week. It's a great day to be a warrior. Have a good weekend.